Indian reservation area, so yeah. How'd that feel?
Feels normal.
Yeah.
Coffee on that one. Oh! Hey, hey! Hey, hey, hey! And now for the steep jump, and we're just gonna cruise and take a bunch of attempts to kind of like see if I need to adjust a lot or if I'm just chilling and it almost feels like my normal bike. Ooh, okay. Ah! Oh! Oh shit! Ah shit! I'm losing it. Not quite. Jesus. Keep going. Just go all the way. Oh.
I think this is going to be pretty good.
One thing I did want to mention, since I feel like I don't see a lot of the review platforms do it, is just the installation process, and then how you might approach it differently, especially with like, would you recommend people be slamming it with spacers above, or do you have anybody where do you think they should still play with the spacers?
Always still play. So on my bike, I run the tall version. I'm 5'8", so I run the Gen 1 150mm rise. I run it with 30mm of spacers below it to bring it taller. I purposely designed it shorter than the height I use it at. That way riders can then go for running spacers below or above to fine tune to where they want it to be. So if they want it a little lower than where I found worked best for me, then they can do that. If they want to run it taller, they can either run taller rise bars with it, run more spacers below it.
Yeah, it's effectively just a stem.
Yeah, like in that sense, as far as installation, all of the interfaces in here, it's the same.
Yeah.
Main difference in that sense is that instead of it being a front load, it's a top load. And so because of that, I don't have to faff with everything like potentially falling out and falling forward. Everything just kind of sits on top. So that's actually more user-friendly, I'd say.
Yeah.
There's this, like these are already like working towards falling down.
Yeah.
So when you're installing the stem, it interface-wise is basically the same. So it just goes on the standard steer tube. The steer tube clamp here is 40mm. Mouse stems are about 40mm, so spacers stay the same. You can run the spacers above it, you can run them below it to bring it taller, so you can fine-tune the height. You can run with spacers, with shims for 31.8mm bar, or without shims for 35mm bar. The top goes on, little square sides match the square sides, the round sides match the round sides. Everything loads on top, so it all just stays in place. Then you tighten it down. You go for an even gap at all four corners. I know some stems have you clamp one side flush. This is not one of those. Do not do that. But otherwise, installation is very simple and straightforward. And then I'll go for, visually I'll line up the bar to the fork, and I'll do the front and the back for the front and the back of the fork legs to make sure that it's straight as far as being turned. And I'll adjust the bar roll, so just leave them a little bit loose when you're adjusting that, just so that it's just loose enough that you can go for like rotating the bar easily. And when you're doing that, it's actually really simple. You have it loose enough. If you roll the bars notably forward, they're gonna roll into a spot when you pull on them like that in your stance that you would be. If you roll them back some and you do the same thing, they're gonna roll into a spot when you pull on them. Just by where your wrist geometry aligns, it's gonna roll to like try to match that as well as it can, as best as it can. And so that will give you a good starting point for bar roll and be basically what works for your body. So I'll do that with him when it's time.
And obviously it's people's preference. They can play with the bar roll, but would you say that obviously that lining up with the steer and the fork is probably the place to start, and
yeah,
in a certain way it could
like the bar roll that you run with this is not fundamentally different than the bar roll you would run with a traditional stem. I'd say play around with it, because bar roll does influence how you interact with the bar quite a bit and affects the handling as such. But from what you were already using, it'll probably be pretty similar for what works with the RR stem. You are coming at the bar with your arms, that is, at a different angle. So typically you'd be a little more over the bar arm angle, versus here you're a little more horizontal. And so as such, changing the bar roll to account for that and how you're moving around on the bike, you may find a different bar roll is more comfortable than what you were using before. But start with what you were, if you can. But easiest thing, just roll it, because it'll roll into a position based on where your body is with the stem.
Yeah, especially if you happen to have outlier proportions to your torso, or shorter, longer. From
what I found when I do that, if you roll it forward and then you roll it back, take the middle point between them, that middle point tends to be very consistent when you go for doing that method. Like, you don't really end up with it notably rolled back more or rolled forward more when you do that method multiple times. It just kind of comes to a spot, and that spot is comfy.